Hey Grace Kids, welcome back to Grace Kids TV. My name is Michael Campbell and I serve as the family and children's pastor here at Grace Church. And it is so great that you're going to be joining us again today. In today's story, we will see about a story when a man named Melchizedek blessed Abraham. And in the Bible, specifically Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10, God told his people not to be afraid. He reminded them that he was with them and that he would support them. And God made this promise to us in his word, that he will always be with us and he will always help us. And all throughout the Bible, we see examples of how God was with his people. And many times people trusted God and obeyed him, even in those hard times. But even when they didn't trust God, he proved himself to be faithful to his people. And his plans and his promises never fail. And we'll learn a little bit more about that today. But before we get into today's story, let's head over to Grace Kids Trivia to see what we remember from last week's story about how God made a promise or a covenant with Abraham. Good luck.
Question 1, true or false? A covenant is a big building that people used to worship in. And the answer is false. This one is definitely false. You may remember this from last week's story, but a covenant is actually a promise. You can almost think of it like a pinky promise. Question 2, true or false? Abram and Sarai did not have any children, but God made a covenant with them and said that they would have a big family. And the answer is true. This was true. And this leads us up to our next question. Question 3, true or false? Abram and Sarai were getting very old, but they still did not have any children. Abram had a dream and God told him what would happen. And the answer is true. This was true. In Abram's dream, God showed him that keeping the covenant, or the promise, was God's job, not his. Later, God said he was going to change Abram's name to Abraham, and his wife's name, Sarai, to Sarah. And he said that they would have many children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Question 4, true or false? Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah was 90 years old when they had their first baby. They named him Isaac. And the answer is true. Believe it or not, this was also true. You might remember that from last week. God kept his covenant with Abraham and they had their first child when they were this old. And our final question of the day, question 5, true or false? God sent Jesus to earth as part of Abraham's family. And the answer is true. This was true again, 4 in a row. Jesus came to earth many years later after Abraham. As a matter of fact, it was 14 generations later. So Jesus would have been Abraham's great grandson. Whew, that's a lot. God promised to bless all of the people in the world through Abraham. And God blesses all of the people on earth through Jesus, because Jesus saves people from their sins.
Hey friends, I'm Megan.
And I'm Jessie. Hey Megan, would you like some of my fruit snacks?
Ooh, thank you, Jessie.
How many do you want?
Just a few. I will eat them after our Bible story today. Actually, you giving me part of your fruit snacks reminds me of our Bible story.
It does? How?
In today's story, Abraham gave Melchizedek a part of everything he had.
Who?
Melchizedek. It is an unusual name.
and hard to say.
Melchizedek was the king of Salem and a priest to God Most High. Let me tell you the story. God had chosen Abraham and given him a special promise. God said Abraham would have a big family and God would bless the whole world through that family. Abraham obeyed God and went to a new land. He took his wife Sarah, his nephew Lot, and everything he owned with him. They all went to a land called Canaan. God reminded Abraham of his promise. Abraham and Lot moved throughout the land. One day, Abraham and Lot decided to live in different places. They had too many animals and people to live all together. So Lot picked a place to live, and Abraham went somewhere else. In those days, 4 kings in the area got together and fought a war against 5 other kings. The 4 kings won against the 5. The king's armies took everything from the other kings, all their treasures and people. The kings even took Abraham's nephew Lot as a prisoner. Someone found Abraham and told him what had happened. Lot was in trouble. Abraham got a group of 318 men, and they went after the kings. Abraham's men attacked the 4 kings and their armies at night. Abraham rescued Lot and got back everything the kings took. When Abraham went home, the king of Salem came to visit him. The king's name was Melchizedek. Melchizedek was a priest to God Most High. Melchizedek blessed Abraham and said, "God has blessed Abraham. Let everyone bless God. He created everything and he made Abraham win the battle." Then Abraham gave Melchizedek a gift, a part of everything he had. Melchizedek means king of righteousness. Jesus is a priest and king like Melchizedek was, but Jesus is better. Jesus came to bless us. He died on the cross and rose again so everyone who trusts in him can have life with God forever.
Hey Grace Kids, for our craft this week, we are going to make a poster of the key verse that we have been practicing for this unit. So all that you are going to need is the printout with the key verse, some tissue paper squares, some glue, and something to color with, and I'm going to show you exactly how to decorate your poster. Are you ready? So first you're going to color the poster, and you don't have to color the edge. You can if you want, but that's where we're going to put the tissue paper, so you want to focus on coloring the words. And then the edge I'm going to leave blank, but we're going to cover it in tissue paper. So you just need a few sheets. So I just separate them so I can get some different colors. And then you're going to just glue them down flat. So you're not going to crinkle them, but you're just going to, you can crinkle them if you want. I think I'm going to leave them flat just because I like the way it looks. But if you wanted to crinkle them and put them on, you could do that too. So I'm going to use some glue. And if you use liquid glue, that would work, or you can use a glue stick. If you use a glue stick, you probably only want to do a little bit at a time because it dries faster. And it's okay if they hang off the edge a little bit. I think that it would give it kind of a neat texture. And then your poster's all done. This is a super cool way to practice the memory verse. So let's read it together. Are you ready? The Lord does whatever pleases him in the heavens and on the earth, in the seas and all their depths. Psalm 135, verse 6. So I hope that you hang this up at home and practice memorizing this verse that we learned this unit. And I hope that you're able to share this with your family and maybe some of your friends. This is going to be a really cool way for us all to memorize this verse together. Thanks so much for watching Grace Kids TV. Have a great week!